Kia is on a roll. It is at the peak of its popularity worldwide. And its latest models have captured the imagination of many markets, be it the EV6 or Seltos in India or the Sorento and Soul in Europe. But one car that's quietly helped build its global reputation is this, the Niro. Now, in its second generation, the Niro stands for many things. It straddles the urban MPV, hatch and SUV segments, and it's also been popular for having a hybrid or EV avatar. And with this generation, there's a PHEV or plug-in hybrid variant that's been added. And now it is also a finalist for the 2023 World Car of the Year. The new generation of a very successful product has to get a lot of things right. Styling, design is certainly one of them. Now, for the past several months and years now, the Hyundai Motor Group has been doing that really successfully, especially the Kia brand. So when you look at the Niro, firstly, it screams modern. The face is very different to the last outgoing car, and yet there's a familiarity about the car's overall stance and profile. Being a compact crossover, it has to sort of hit some of those notes, and it does. Now, also the use of color and the different specs that you can order on this car, you do see a lot of imagination has been put into that. And then there are some stylish elements like the way the indicator has been put in to the mirror housing over here. Very different. It could have just been a straight line, but that's a little bit more flamboyant. And speaking of flamboyance, you have this panel. Now, Kia designers say that this is inspired by the tiger face. It's a new modern interpretation of that. And what it gives you is a lot of character on the car. It's always going to be a different color from the rest of the body color. You can have different options on that in terms of finishes and tones. And it also really makes the tail light stand out because you've got this kind of like a vertical stack tail light, which is in keeping with the SUV-like styling element, and yet because of the boomerang shape, gives it its own absolute signature identity. So at the back as well, the car doesn't look plain, it looks nice and modern, and it is why the car will likely remain very appealing to a lot of buyers. So it looks cool, but it's not just the looks, it's also about the way it drives. Now, with the Niro family having already tasted a fair amount of success with the first generation, on this car it was important for Kia to take that story forward, and which is why it's a very strong play with the three different variants, including an electric version as well, fully electric. But the mainstay of sales is still going to be the basic hybrid, the car I'm in right now. And on the hybrid, the good news is that the efficiency of drive and the overall performance metrics have remained intact. If anything, the car has actually gotten a little bit better, especially in terms of the way the steering has been reconfigured and also the kind of feel you get from the overall ride quality. The conventional hybrid has a 1.6-litre engine producing 140 bhp and 264 Nm. But the real hero is that hybrid system. The overall range of the car on a full tank is up to 950 kilometers. That's at about 24 kilometers to the litre of petrol. The hybrid system works really nicely. It's a very smooth operation overall, and that's not surprising. Of course, it was like that with the previous car too. But with this one, you don't even get a sense of when the system is switching between the gasoline engine and the electric motor. In fact, there are times where you would find that the car is actually being propelled forward just by the power from the battery, but the engine will still keep feeding a certain supply of energy into the battery to keep it charged up, so that when you're coasting or cruising, that's the time you get just the pure electric drive experience. And that's what I liked about the update on the system. It does work really quite well. Now, this is a compact car, and so while the cabin is not overly roomy, it is comparable to that of, say, a Seltos, though its wheelbase is a tad longer, and this is a slightly bigger car anyway. Features like ambient lighting, a rotary shift knob add a bit of pizzazz to the Niro, while the Niro's standard infotainment display is an 8-inch touchscreen. a larger 10.3-inch infotainment is included at the higher end. It's powered by the latest iteration of Kia's infotainment system, and of course it includes connectivity through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So there's lots of these cars that we drive in other markets, and they're also very successful in other markets. We never hear about them in India. The picture has changed somewhat. Now, of course, our buyer is one that thinks a lot more globally, and it's products like these which have big volume sales in other markets that get their attention. In the Indian context right now, electrification is playing a huge role as well in people's minds when it comes to their future buying decisions. And conventional hybrids, while they may seem really run-of-the-mill in other places in India, still kind of like a new thing. Look at the Honda City, look at the big volumes driver from Toyota and Maruti Suzuki, the Grand Vitara and Hyryder. So given that, this could be the perfect product. You don't even have to bring in the plug-in hybrid, which is going to be too expensive. Go ahead, Kia, think about bringing this one, conventional hybrid system, because you know what, just the mileage figure, and if you assemble it locally, hopefully in an attractive enough price, will convince enough people, because the brand's pretty strong already. And then throw in the fact that this could also give us a fully electrified EV version, and the Niro becomes impossible to ignore for India. Now, I also got a chance to drive the PHEV and EV variants. The EV in particular interests me as, well, that's a hot topic for us in India. The Niro EV gets a 64.8 kilowatt-hour battery with 200 horsepower and fast charging as standard. It can take a charge of up to 85 kilowatt and go from 10 to 80% charge in just 45 minutes. Its maximum driving range is almost 400 kilometers. But yes, I'm extremely impressed, and I wish we had cars like this in our market. The problem will be pricing, but I'd still reckon Kia would do well to consider this car in the 20 to 40 lakh rupee price band, where there are very few products right now anyway, and where an aspirational buyer would love to shop. So a hybrid Niro for say 25 lakhs and the EV version for about 35 sounds interesting to me for sure, even as a limited volumes run. Chew on that, Kia India.